The following is an exclusive production of Minuteman Command. The Flagship Pod with your hosts, ESPN personalities Mike Corey and Rene Ingoglia, is on the air. Brought to you by Todd Fritz Roofing, with insight and info from UMass and Mac Insiders. From the Command Studios, here are your hosts, Mike and Rene.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the show. Look at you, Rene. You happy? You smiling? What do you got? Good week coming up here?
It's another day. I am always smiling, man. I always look at the bright side of life, man.
Yes,
so,
you do.
I'm excited to be here with you. And just, another day, man.
Yep, absolutely. Early October already. This is nuts. Let's get into it. Recapping last week a little bit. All right, so I'm watching, right? 3-0. Got first and goal potentially coming up. Nope. Holding. Back them up. Field goal. No good. It should have been 10-0 last week, right?
Before that, we had a touchdown pulled off the board.
Well, that's right. That's
illegal formation.
Could you tell
started
me,
it up.
like, when you're playing, or the mindset of, like, you know, how that changes things? You know, like, oh, well, we're still up, but it's only 3-0. Like, what happens if it's 10? What happens if it's 17? Yeah. Like, how much does that change not only the players, but like the calls and the coaches, right?
Yeah. So let me say this. This team, and I'm not saying anything earth-shattering that anyone that's watching this pod doesn't know. This team, now that we've got a really good subset of this team, with the personnel, with the injuries, coaching, all together now, we have a really good initial look here. This team has zero room for any errors. They cannot overcome mistakes, especially self-inflicted. So I will say this, and you know me, Mike, you know me. There is not an analyst at ESPN. I will venture to say there's not an analyst in the nation that does national football that's more officiating friendly than me. It's a thing of mine. I like to understand the rules to the best of my knowledge. Like I got a nice text from Mike Pereira, who's like, one of the godfathers of officiating. And so I talked to the supervisor of officials of all the conferences, and just something that that I always do. With that said, that MAC crew had some issues and they listen. They review them, they grade them, but I did not think that was a strong crew Saturday. They have a lot to do. Now, I'm not saying like their calls were all bad, but there were some issues with that crew. With that said, the self-inflicted penalties are like, they drive coaches like, so, Reese Atkins, who I think is a good tight end, and hopefully we'll get him back next year. And you have to be careful, and we talk about this all the time. If you don't have a straight down the line camera look, and you're at an angle, because he did look like he was lined up in the neutral zone, and you can't do that. And if you're even close, you just got to move back a little bit. So that one hurt, and he knows that. We had another one where Joe talked about where the official said, hey, you guys need to back up. And in the process of backing up, the ball was snapped. So either way, you would have had an illegal formation or illegal procedure. They're just killers. The holding calls, I'll say this about holding. Sometimes you go up against a badass, right? Especially defensive line, offensive line, where they force you to hold them. Okay, I kind of get that. At least the defender's forcing you. Sometimes you have a bad hold where you shouldn't hold. And again, I say it all with this team has zero room for mistakes. So way too many mistakes, drops again, and you're just not going to do it. They started the game out running the ball well. I thought it was good. Juwan Price had 6 for 54 yards. I think that was probably all first quarter.
Yeah.
So obviously the injuries, it hurts. Rocco was out. He got turf toe, and you lose Gibby, and it's one of those seasons where it's just steamrolling. I watched Joe's press conference yesterday, and basically what he alluded to was like, I'm going to play a lot of new people. We're going to bust our ass, and it's not going to make people happy. And they're going to fight to the end. But he is now, just read between the lines, he's going to break this thing down to the bare bones and build it back up and start over. So it's going to be painful this year. Dare I say it may be painful next year, because he needs to bring in, and his plan is, and we talked about this, 20 22, 23 high school kids, build that base. And then the thing I like, instead of trying to build your whole roster with portal, which they've done the last 5-6 years, which we know is not going to work, especially at the group 5, group 6 level, you just cannot bring that many good people in because, again, they're all in the portal for a reason. And they're not in the portal to come to UMass to get money, MAC money, right? That's not happening. If you're good enough to go get money, you're going somewhere else, right? I mean, no disrespect. That's not a knock on UMass. That's a knock on G5, G6. They don't have the money to compete with bigger schools. So you got to break it down, bring in the high school kids. So you're going to have growing pains with them, but you're building your foundation, and then fill the pieces, right? If you're not, I'm not saying, I'm just picking a position. Let's say you say, okay, we look good with our young players, right? We're building them, but we're really deficient. We have no depth, defensive line, rush end, D tackle. Then you pinpoint a couple positions where you do have some money. You go get these kids at this position, or I need, we got some injuries. I need another wide receiver. I need a bat, whatever that position is. Then you pinpoint those couple positions and you bring in 5 or 6, 7 meaningful players in the portal, right? Not 20, 25 players in the portal where you're trying to fit an entire team. And I think he knows that. He said that. So that's what they're going to go. And I say that in saying that he's going to break it down. And it's tough. As a pure fan, alumni, not an analyst, not I'm drained. When my energy starts to get drained, it's drained. You were texting me during the game, and it's like I almost didn't even want to text you back. I was just like, let this thing play out. It's hard. It's hard. I am with all the fans. I get it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is from 2012. This is 13 years of pain. As a UMass fan, hopefully we're getting to the end of it. Again, I am confident in Joe and his staff. Listen, Joe has growing pains too. He hasn't been a head coach in a while. He addressed it. Let me say this, because I got texted by a lot of people. Because he made a comment that, and I agree with this comment, especially a team like UMass. You just want to be in the game in the fourth quarter. Right? Give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter. You had a chance to kick a field goal to make it a one-score game, right? Would have been 14-6, so 8 points. Yeah. He decided to go for it. They didn't get it. When you're struggling, okay, when you have a team that's struggling, you have no wins, you have a ton of injuries, you're zero room for error, right? We talked about that, and you had a ton of errors in this game. I almost think it makes you coach differently and think differently, and it's probably not good, but you almost get in the mindset, and this is me saying this, you almost get in the mindset of screw it, we're down there, let's go for the touchdown, when you probably should have kicked the field goal. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think that decision cost them the game at all, but I'm just trying to point out, like, there's growing pains for everybody in the program, and got to work through it, and it's not going to be fun, and it hurts. And they're going to go on the road to play Kent State, who was arguably before UMass the worst team in the conference. Their coach got fired like right before camp. The interim is a guy by the name of Mark Carney. I know Mark Carney. He's a good coach. And this program's playing a ton better. So anyone that thinks, oh, you're going to go to Kent State and get a win, again, zero room for error. They want to try to win this game or be in it in the fourth quarter. So, listen, I'm along for the ride with everyone else. It's not a great. It's almost like if you're one of these people that has a phobia of roller coasters and you're stuck on the front seat of a roller coaster. You're not getting off. Hey, buckle up because you better get through your fears because it's rough. They're going to play hard. And let me say this too, and I know me and you have talked about this, and I don't mean to be the old man, get off my lawn, okay? And most of those kids on the team, I don't know them personally, so this isn't a personal attack, and I'm not going to call out names. But I will say this. As a former player, I'm all for celebrating. Like when you do something good, you should celebrate with your team. I'm more of a spontaneous celebrator. You score a touchdown, it's high fives. I've never choreographed a thing in my life. Get a sack, whatever, interception, celebrate. The camera went on a few people last game where I thought, maybe a few too many smiles. Okay, maybe that's a nervous thing. I don't know. That's why, right? I saw some celebrating to me that almost looked a little taunting-ish. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, at the end of the day, and I get it, a lot of these people are new to the program. They haven't felt the pain that we have, right? All the UMass fans. But at the end of the day, you haven't won a game this year. You haven't won an FBS game in 2 years. Army in 2023 is the last FBS team you've beaten. You lost to Bryant, which we chronicled, who, oh, by the way, got their asses kicked by Maine this week. So, again, I'm not saying don't have fun. You got to go out and try to have fun. But you know what fun to me is, Mike? Is celebrating a win with your teammates on Saturday night. There's nothing more fun than that as an athlete, as a football player. So my point is, celebrate spontaneously when you make plays. But at the end of the day, look at the big picture of where you are. And that's everybody. You're only as good as your weakest link, right? You're only as strong as your last player on the roster. So there's a long way to go, a lot to do with this program. And again, I will never stop. I'm not giving up. But those are just my, 10-minute observations from the game.
No, you've done a good job with these. When I let you go, it's like this is what I was hoping for on Saturday night. Like you said, I called you. You were just like, yeah, we'll talk to you later. Here's the thing. I agree with you, and I saw it too. And I know what you're talking about. It's like at the end of the game where it's so annoying. Like can't even get a garbage touchdown for heaven's sake. But like where they tipped it or whatever, and we thought we had it for the interception. He's like, like staring down at the guy, and then I know on the sideline we're smiling like, oh, that was crazy play. It'd be cool if we get this. Like, no. And I said it the week before, like after they scored or they were down by like whatever they were. I get it. Like you said, I'm all for celebrating, but that one's like a fist pump, like a slap on the back and go back to the bench. Like it just makes you look stupid. Like when you're trailing and then you get all excited that we scored. It's like, it bothers me. So to me, and I think we talked about this. So we talked with the coaches about changing some things to, is this Division I football or what? Are we eating together? Are we, being on time for things? Are we, do we have the resources we need? We hear that we're getting more and it's getting better. But to me, like what you just said about the game, the fundamentals they're gone. Like I think he needs to go back to literally the fundamentals. I'm not telling you how to coach because I don't coach and I didn't even play football. Okay. But I'm just saying, maybe you go there and you run like freaking 10 plays in a row. Just make sure everybody's on sides and you're checking it out and you don't false start. 10 in a row, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. So everybody gets the mindset like, I am not going to false start. I'm not going to be lined up off sides, and then like check your offensive lineman. Like you said, holding, right? I mean, they're killers. There's been a couple of touchdowns called back. There's been opportunities to score that have been negated. So it's like, all those things that you talked about, like, don't you think they might need to go back to, I don't say the drawing board, but just like fundamentals, like John Wooden here, like, hey, we're going to learn to dribble with our right and our left, and we're going to do that. Like, I'm serious, because until you get that down, what play are you going to run that you're going to really execute? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't even do that, then I don't care what the frick the play is. Like, you got to just, I don't know. Am I talking out of my ass?
You are 100% right. And let me say this, excuse me. Anyone that's ever heard me talk on this pod, one of my broadcasts for ESPN, you always hear me say, do the little things right. I think when I went on my little rant there, a little thing, like open the door for someone. Please, thank you. Like, all the little things. And Joe brought that up in his press conference. Wearing the right shoes for a walkthrough, wearing the right shoes on a trip, not being late, which blows my mind. Again, you haven't won a game. Not being late for meetings, not being late for walkthrough. Like he's I'm assuming he's dropping the hammer now. I don't give a shit. Listen, no one on that team position and playing is safe. You're 0-5. So if someone is 8 seconds late for a meeting, sit their ass. All right. Like you, and I say that, Mike, because those little things, right? If you can't do those little things right, if you're not showing up for class, like the little things in life translate 100% to the field.
Yep.
When you can't put on the right shoes, then your ass isn't on the line of scrimmage when you're supposed to be off the line of scrimmage, or vice versa. Like, they translate. They absolutely translate. So he needs to just break it down, and I think he's gonna, reading between the lines. You have to do the little things right in a program, and it will translate onto the field. Unfortunately, that's where you get to when you bring in a bunch of portal people, right?
Yeah.
You have kids from multiple schools that have learned different things, and it's really hard to rein them in right away. And then he knows, listen, I'm going to go back. High school kids, we're going to bring him in. We're going to have a foundation, a fundamental foundation, and build it up. He also knows there's going to be growing pains doing that through this year and then next year with this recruiting class. It is what it is. Unfortunately, there's not a magic potion. I bought into it. You bought into it. I really thought the mixture of this camp, and, it got us into a little trouble because we really were pumping this team up. But like you said it, like everything we saw looked good. We don't have a crystal ball. What were we going to say? Oh, this team's going to stink. I mean, I honestly felt good about this team. Hasn't come to fruition at all. And they just got to play it out now. Again, play every game hard. Again, defensively, Timmy Hines-Peter, 14 tackles, a forced fumble, playing his ass off. Tyler Martin, 10 total tackles. Zeron Daniel, get him back, 10 total tackles. Rashad Henry. Linebackers, again, balling their ass off. And Timmy, the thing I love about Timmy Hines-Peter is, and Tyler Martin, both of them, they're not great in the pass game, right? They're not great in coverage. And they know that, right, speed-wise. But they're out there busting their ass off. They never quit. They're making tackles in the box. Those are box linebackers. Tyler's a little bit better. Listen, they know what their deficiencies are, but they're playing their ass off. Coach said it. He's right. If you had the effort that Timmy Hines-Peter is giving sprinkled across the entire team and special teams, you would not be winless right now. I guarantee you that, because I watch that kid's effort and I love it. A long way to go. I'm interested to see what he does position-wise. Obviously everyone wants to talk about quarterback. Quarterback's just one part of it, but he's 100% right. So I did Friday night. I had an American game, USF, who's really good, now ranked. Charlotte, another, I was about to say winless team. They beat Monmouth by a touchdown this year, so they got one win. Their starting quarterback, Connor Harrell, got knocked out for the season last week. Grayson Loftus, their backup, gets the start. He came from Duke. Just could not get anything going, right? Friday night, they put in their third-string quarterback, who wasn't even on our chart, and really have no Zach Wilkie, his name was a JUCO kid. Comes in there, probably getting in his mind, you're down big. No one's got any expectations. The kid's slinging it. He's leading the offense. He's got a spark. He's making some runs, and he basically gets them back within 2 scores in a game they were getting blown out to. So that's the spark, right, that Joe and Coach Bajakian are looking for, right, at the quarterback position. Who's going to step up and spark? Now, I get it. Like, you need other players around you, too. We get that. But it starts with that quarterback. It's the most important position. So, we'll see. We'll see what he's going to do with his spark. And then here's the other reality that he's not going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about, is when, and I've mentioned it on this podcast, the reality of college football today is when things are going bad, right? We always talk about, okay, the good players that you do have, right? You need to bring them back, right? That roster retention, we always talk about it. Well, right now, everybody is in the ears of these guys, especially these guys who are a little hurt, a little banged up. Everybody's in their ears. You have these agents. There's no certification to be an NIL agent or rev share agent. Everybody's in these guys' ears. I'm sure there's tampering going on with other teams. Hey, shut it down. Don't play. come play for us next year. We're a better team. We'll give you a little money. So now coaches, that shit's happening too. Don't think it's not. So a lot going on. You wanted to be a head coach in college football? This is what you deal with. And Joe knows that. But again, growing pains through it all, through everything that's going on. So we'll see what he does at quarterback. It'll be interesting. But I'll be rooting for him next week once again, as always.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, that's the thing. We talked about it. We're not going to go back on what we saw and heard and found out about. I mean, it's like, look, they're making an effort. They're putting more money in. We're trying to get it better. It's like it's obviously going to take longer than we all thought, which again is upsetting because we've already been dealing with it. But remember, it's like, I'm not saying the clock starts now, but it's like you even heard Ryan Bamford a few weeks ago, like, all right, I get it. We got to accelerate this process a little bit. Like, okay, let's see what they do. Let's see what happens, because you almost maybe needed something like this. You know what I'm saying? Because like, what happens, say they did go 4-8 or 5-7, or all of a sudden we're on the cusp of a bowl. Like, let's just say that ends up happening. You might have been like, okay, it's just what we needed to do. We put a couple extra bucks in. We got a good coach. We're fine. The answer actually to that is no, you're not fine, even though that might be the case. You got to keep doing more. You got to keep getting more. You got to keep – there's a lot more to be done. So it's like I'm not excited. Nobody wants this. But I'm saying now it accentuates it even more that you're like, shit, we really got to step it up even more, okay? Because it's like I've always said this, and we're not going to be – you're not going to be in Ohio State, but it's like you're either in or you're out. And when you're in, it's a commitment. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, from – the money to the university to the state, everything. So I know it takes a lot to do that. So I just see it's going to take a little bit longer. And then you got to have backups. You got to have depth. They don't have that. But I'm more concerned with the culture and the just doing the little things like you said. I don't want to say that because actually Harris Simiak has done a better job with that, but it's like it still has a ways to go because we're seeing too many mistakes. We're seeing too many errors. Oh, this guy's sitting. Oh, he was late. But you know how hard that is, right? When you're not winning, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're Bill Belichick, you do whatever the hell he tells you, but we haven't got there yet.
I think we kind of coined something here, Mike, between you and I. Like everyone talks about culture, right? You talked about fundamentals. It's actually a fundamental foundation is what really needs to be built. Like fundamentals on and off the field. You have to have that baseline foundation where it's non-negotiable, and a coach shouldn't have to tell you. Like you shouldn't have to be reminded, hey, if the meeting's at 11 a.m., it actually means you're there at 10:45, right? The old Lombardi rules. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. Like I live by that. I have a dad that's, God bless him, still going, and was always like that. My kids drive me nuts because when we travel as a family, we're super early. And they can't figure it out. And I'm like, that's what you do in life. I mean, you kind of hope that rubs off on them as they become adults. But yeah, fundamental foundation. I love that. And so you got to break them down and kind of build it back up from the beginning. And I always brought up Buffalo as the apples to apples, how Pete Lembo gets in there and they turn it around. The one thing I'll say is he didn't have an exodus in the portal, right, when he took over. So he still had that foundation of the players that were there. There were obviously some good players there, and he turned it around. UMass was not in that situation. And it's akin to like you have an injury, right? And the doctor says you kind of need surgery. But, you can go. And you're like, I can do it. Well, UMass was kind of injured this year. And they said, we can go. We can get to 6 games. We can get to 4 games. We can get that improvement. Now it's like, oh shit, we need the surgery. All right, let's get the surgery and let's work on next year. Again, not giving up on this season. There's still winnable games on that roster. But again, they got to play flawless football. You can't self-inflicted penalties. You can't turn over the ball. How about this, by the way? I just thought about this. I was looking at some notes on over here on my other. So this week this is my stretch where I do American Conference. So I have UTSA. I have Rice at UTSA. Both of them lost, by the way. UTSA up 14-3 against Temple, right? We saw Temple.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit goes Casey Keeler goes nuts in his halftime interview, basically like, I don't care about the score. For the first time in 10 months, I was embarrassed to be their coach. And that's what he basically told them because of their effort. They came back and won that game.
Yeah.
They're halfway to a bowl game, Temple. They got 3 wins.
I know.
And speaking about not having mistakes and fundamentally sound and not inflicting harm on yourself, Temple has 0 turnovers for a team this year. 0 turn. They have not turned the ball over once. How good is that?
Get the hell out of here. I didn't even know that.
0 turnovers.
Really?
You're going to win games.
Does anybody else have no turnovers in the nation?
They may,
That's
I might have
crazy.
to look it up. They may be the only team with 0 turnovers in the nation. And I think they're 3-3. I want to say what their record is. They played Oklahoma, by the way.
I'm going to look it up. Yeah, exactly.
I know for a fact 0 turnovers.
I got it right here.
That's a fundamental, right? And actually, their offensive coordinator, Tyler Martin, who came from Montana State, I actually sent him a message because he's a good young offensive coordinator. Sent him a message this week. So,
yeah. Hey, look, they're number 1 in the nation. Turnovers lost 0. Number 1. Yep, it's
pretty good. Like you can, that's probably the most self-inflicted issue you can have, right? Turning the ball over. You keep the ball. You're holding possessions. You're keeping the ball away from your opponent. And like I said, they came back and won. So
that's impressive. No, seriously, that is like that's just a mindset right there, right? I mean, that's like, hey, again, that's hard to do. Like, let's give them a ton of credit. But to your point, like I used to have this too. Like my parents the same way. Like we call it Corey time. Same thing, Hey, mom, dad, I'll meet you at the Olive Garden. 7:00, whatever. It's like 6:45. They're already there. Like you said, I show up, right before 7. The dad's like, "Hey, where you been?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm here." I said 7:00. It's like it's 7:00. And you know what happened? Like it took me forever to finally like come to this. Like you just said, like it takes me sometimes a while, but like once I get it, it's like it's not just like I was there on time. I made it. No, now you're stressed out. Now he made a little comment. Now you didn't get him. It's like if I got there early and I beat them. Like, because I thought to myself, it's like, well, now what am I going to do? What do you mean now? What are you going to do? Pull this thing out and you can spend whatever the hell time you need to spend. So it's like from now on, I got this stuff early. I sat there. I relaxed. I chilled. I beat them one time. And then they came in and I'm like, hey, good to see you. It's like, but it's a mindset. Like you're absolutely right. Like, and you know me enough to know, I mean, I teach this class in Delaware. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying any of that, but like all the advice and things I've learned over the years, I love trying to like pass it down and figure stuff out and get better at things. I'm always looking for a way to be like, hey, wait a minute, should I do this? Should I do that? How can I be better at this? This is on me, and my wife, Steph, she'll give me a bunch of pointers. And sometimes, again, it takes a minute to sink in. But once it does, you're like, wow, I just kind of solved that, and it's like, I feel like the same thing's got to happen with this team. Until you can get that solved, until you can do that on time, until you could show up early, until you could like give the Heinz speeder, intensity, I don't know what else you can achieve. So I don't want to put it all on the coaching staff because it's hard. I know it is, but I'd love to see that stuff settled up first. And I know like when you say grades and this, people are like, oh, whatever the grade. No, that's why coaches are proud of that. Hey, we got a 3.2 or whatever. You know why? Because it's discipline. It's going to class. It's doing something right.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't translate to wins all that per se, but it's
but it does translate to the stuff we're talking about.
Correct. If you got to deal with kids not going to class and stinking in school and cheating or whatever, well, then you're going to have a problem. Yeah. Like so. I know. I don't want to speak too much out of turn because, again, we've talked to people. We're not like sitting there every day at practice and in the film rooms and in the coaches' offices. But and we are going to try to get Harris Simiak, by the way, on next week because it'll be perfect. It'll be mid-year, 6 games. Let's get his comments on this stuff, and he'll give it to us straight. But, yeah, like you said, I don't think we're saying things that they're not thinking. Easier said than done is pretty much.
And then one last thing on the parent thing. So I'm blessed. Both my parents are still alive. They're in their mid 80s. They go to New York for part of the year. They're back in Florida now. So I'll meet them for breakfast once a week. Yeah. Dad still drives, and they'll be sitting in the booth waiting for me when I pull up, and I'll get there early. So it's just it's ingrained in you.
Right. Hey, a couple things, and I'll get to you in here in a second. So I know you got something to talk about. One, I'll be up to UMass this week, Friday. I'm going to be we're going to be filming some more scenes for the documentary. I'm going to try to get that all wrapped up. Some scenics around campus as well too. So that's going to be fun. We're almost there, fundraising wise. Have this thing fully funded, and hopefully, get this thing done and start to sell it to a major streamer. With the UMass documentary. So we're excited about that. And then I know you unfortunately had some tough news that you heard this week, and it's a UMass guy. It's one of our brothers. It's our alum. So what did you hear?
Yeah, so Jerry Gordon was my running back coach at UMass, and there's some old timers on here. You guys all know Jerry, so you may not have known this because it kind of came as a surprise to me. He's also a UMass alum, played at UMass, coached at Northeastern, coached at Boston College, but he's UMass through and through. He's cancer, and I talked to his wife yesterday, and he's in hospice. So, you saw me smiling, Mike, when I came on. It's just life is precious. Okay, now we get it. We get fortunate enough. We come on here and we talk about football, but at the end of the day, love one another, love your family. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. We all know people that fall ill, especially with cancer. And it's hard because we've been losing a lot of people far, far too young. So just enjoy life, guys. UMass football drives you nuts. Embrace it. At least you're here to let it drive you nuts. And just praying for Jerry, for Coach Gordon. Great, great man, great running back. Praying for his wife, Carol. And it's anyone that knows him. And if you don't know him, please pray. Hard time for them. But I love you, Coach. And it's hard, man. It's really hard. So just embrace life, everyone. Go out there, attack life, do your best, whatever it is. Don't get complacent, and make the best of it. So that's it.
Thank you guys. Well said, Rene. That's how we end it for this week. Appreciate it. You hang in there. Have a good week, and we'll do it again next Wednesday.
Love you, man. See ya.
You guys, love you too.